Peace, family. Chauncey, aka Ukarema, Great Man of God Media, right back at you once again with another GMOGMedia Spotlight. All right, family. First of all, I want to send a shout out and congratulations to LeBron James for winning the first NBA championship or title for the city of Cleveland. I watched that game 7. That was crazy. Amazing game, amazing performance by LeBron James. I don't understand all the hate that LeBron James receives from the dominant society by mainstream media in general, but the criticism is not well deserved in my opinion. And I'm not even a huge LeBron James fan like that, but the criticism is not deserved in my opinion. And you know, he's went through trials and tribulations throughout his career. I mean, 2007, he got swept out of the NBA championships by the San Antonio Spurs. So he's been ups and downs in his career, and he finally brings a title back to his hometown. All I got to do is respect that. So much respect to LeBron James for bringing the title back to his hometown in Cleveland, Ohio. But anyhow, family, I want to address this topic real quick. For those of you who are new to this channel, please subscribe. I am Chauncey, aka Ukarema. I talk about counter racism. This platform is about counter racism. This is a platform that offers suggestions on how to replace the system that we live in, which is racism, white supremacy, with a system of justice. All right, family, the topic at hand I want to talk about. I want to address 3 things. It's titled, Where is the Outrage? Now, I'm referring to 3 things, all right? I'm referring to a story I already covered on my earlier vlogs about the Cincinatti Zoo, Ohio situation that happened with the young toddler that fell into the gorilla entrapment at the zoo, okay? The parents of the toddler were condemned. They're still being condemned by the social media, by mainstream media and the dominant society. They're still being crucified till this day, all right? I'm gonna address that. I'm also going to tie in another incident that just happened a couple weeks ago in Orlando with the 2-year-old boy that was attacked and killed by an alligator. All right. I'm going to address that. And I'm going to also tie in a story that happened also in Florida last year where 2 teenagers, 2 14-year-old boys went out in the middle of a supposed storm, upcoming storm rather, to go out to a boating trip by themselves without any adult supervision. Why am I tying those things all together? Simple. Because, again, this platform is about racism, white supremacy. You have a situation at the Cincinatti Zoo where, and I already addressed this, I said it is the parents' fault for not keeping an eye and making sure that that child is safe and being negligible that their child fell into a gorilla pit. I already said it's their fault. But at the same time, the dominant white society media and just the dominant society in general is already crucifying the parents of that young boy who fell into that gorilla entrapment and got the gorilla Harambe killed. Okay, the gorilla was killed, and therefore there is an online petition which I already addressed on my last video, which is called Why Animal Lives Matter and Why Black Lives Don't. Y'all got to check that video out. I'll break that down. But anyway, they are being crucified. And the main thing is they are investigating, as we speak, the background of the parents for that boy. And let me bring up that article real quick. All right. The article is Dion Dickerson and Michelle Gregg, parents of the 4-year-old boy who had a 17-year-old gorilla killed, are being blamed and crucified by social media for the death of the gorilla. And there is still an online petition to, number 1, get them they're already being investigated. All right, they're already being investigated for the safety of that boy, and they're trying to enforce the Child Protective Services from putting their children in foster care. All right. So now, in comparison to other negligible incidents. And let me just also say this, family. All of the incidents, they had results of deaths. So my condolences go out to the animals that lost their lives, the family members that lost their lives, the boys who went out into the ocean by themselves without adult supervision, who came out there and they couldn't find their bodies. My condolences go out to their family. My condolences go out to the family who lost their 2-year-old boy to the alligator, as well as the alligators that lost their lives. And obviously, my condolences go out to the gorilla that lost his life because of the boy that went into the gorilla entrapment. Yeah, let's talk about Sheila Hurt. All right, Sheila Hurt is the person that's responsible for starting the online petition from change.org. All right, which is called Justice for Harambe, the gorilla that was killed, the 17-year-old gorilla that was killed. She started the online petition to commission, all right, Child Protective Services to investigate and put the parents of Deion Dickerson, all right, and Michelle Gregg, to put the 4-year-old boy and the rest of her kids in foster care. All right, let's talk about Sheila Hurt. Sheila Hurt is responsible for starting that online petition, and the 500,000+ online signatures to support this petition. All right, let's talk about that. So now the parallel in comparison to negligible incidents that involve minors. All right, like I said, there was a recent incident in Orlando where a 2-year-old boy was attacked and killed by an alligator at the Walt Disney Resort. My question is, where's the outrage, family? Where is the outrage? So these 500,000 signatures that signed that online petition to ensure Deion Dickerson and Michelle Gregg that their kids are put in foster care because a 17-year-old gorilla was killed. Where's the outrage for the parents of the 2-year-old boy who went into a lake that had a sign up that said alligators, okay, and that boy was in ankle deep water, was attacked and killed by an alligator? Where is the outrage for that? Okay, let me tell you something. Parents are held responsible. Whenever you're with a minor, you are responsible for that child no matter what happens. Again, my condolences go out to the families, to the victims, the alligators, the animals, whatever. My condolences go out to people who lost their lives. But again, you are responsible for that minor. You are responsible for that minor. So there needs to be equal outrage for the parents who got their 2-year-old, okay, their 2-year-old was killed by an alligator at a Walt Disney Resort, which happened after 9 p.m. All right, again, it was an accident, but they're still responsible. Where is that outrage for them? Where is that outrage, family? I mean, there's over 500,000 signatures. And again, I talked about this on my last vlog, why animal lives matter and why black lives don't. All right, I made that comparison because there's online petitions that are closed by our victims, Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin, all right, et cetera, et cetera. We can't even pass the bare minimum amount of signatures to get justice for them. But yet you already got over 500,000 people, okay? And of course, you know that, mostly white, all right? I wouldn't imagine 99% of them are white, to ensure that the parents, once again, of Deion Dickerson, the 4-year-old boy, Deion Dickerson, and Michelle Gregg, all right, are put, their kids are put in foster care, all right? So that's the situation, family. Now, another comparison is the 2 boys who went on that boat trip last year, and I'll have all this stuff in the description, family, and on the screen of what I'm talking about. All right, the 2 boys that went on a boating trip by themselves, 14 years of age, from Palm Beach County. Right, they went on a boating trip by themselves, and there was an upcoming storm, and their bodies cannot be found. They're still missing till this day. Their boat was found, but they still can't find their bodies. All right, so the unimaginable is thinking that they're obviously passed away. All right, but there was a little bit of outrage regarding them, not as much as the Michelle Gregg and Deion Dickerson situation, all right, with the Cincinatti Zoo incident. There was a petition for, and I'm gonna bring it up on my phone. There was a petition for the 14-year-old boys who went on the boating trip. There was only 81 signatures, family. 81 signatures is in comparison to over 500,000 signatures to make sure that these black parents, right, black parents of the 4-year-old boy from the Cincinatti Zoo incident, that their kids are going to be in foster care. 500,000 signatures in comparison to 81. Where is the outrage? So if we live in a system of justice, I expect equal outrage. I expect justice for the gorilla, right? If you're having justice for the gorilla, I expect the same amount of justice to happen for the 2-year-old, the parents of the 2-year-old boy whose life was lost, and the alligators were killed as well, trying to find the body of the 2-year-old boy. I expect that same equal outrage for them, as well as the parents who allowed their 2 boys to go out in the ocean on a boating trip by themselves without any adult supervision. But because we live in a system of injustice, because we live in a system of called racism, white supremacy, it's going to be unequal. So you're going to have more outrage for black parents who are so-called negligible. Well, I wouldn't say so-called. They are responsible for watching that child. It's their fault. But do they deserve to have their children put in foster care? Right? I don't think so. Again, we live in a system of racism, white supremacy, where things are imbalanced. Okay? And again, and I'm going to address this also, family. A lot of people are still in denial about racism. Even on my last video where I addressed the Troy Ave situation, I had a lot of negative comments on that video, because even black people, blacks and whites who are in denial of racism, there's 3 characteristics you got to look out for when people who basically just don't want to admit that racism exists, or doesn't want to admit that racism plays a part in all 9 areas of activity, which is economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. The 3 characteristics you got to look out for is deny, deflect, and being dismissive. Those are the 3 characteristics you have to look out for, family. And that's on both sides of the fence, whether you're black or you're white. People who don't want to admit that racism, white supremacy exists, and it's still a prominent factor in our society today, those are the characteristics that they're going to display. They're going to deny, deflect, and be dismissive. They're going to be like, okay, you're race baiting. What about black on black crime? You know the whole saying. Okay, it's our fault. We're the ones that's shooting each other. We're the ones that's shooting up the club. All right. Now, and I talked about this also. I'm going to bring up a fact check for you guys that are still in denial about racism. I'm going to bring up a fact check, and I addressed this on one of my really old vlogs from last year, because I basically started this channel last year in 2015. One of the first vlogs I posted where I addressed the report that was commissioned by President Lyndon Baines Johnson in regards to the year 1967, where there were a whole bunch of riots from black communities, quote unquote black communities, things of that nature, and Lyndon B. Johnson commissioned to have a report done as to why black people were responding so violently. That report was called the National Advisory Commission on Civil Disorders. Okay, the report findings, and again I go in even more on this on my older vlog. Check it out. It's called, I believe it's called the Kerner Commissioner Report, which is also the name of the report as well. But basically the article, the report rather, reads this. Okay, I'm gonna read a brief synopsis of the report. On March 1st, 1968, the National Advisory Commission on Civil Disorders made public its findings. concerning the nature, causes, and solutions to the violence which rocked many of the nation's cities during the long, hot summer of 1967. The basic conclusion of the report is, and listen to this carefully for those who are still in denial, our nation is moving toward two societies, one black, one white, separate and unequal. The main culprit is said to be white racism. Tom Wicker of the New York Times writes in the introduction to the report, what had to be said has been said at last. Although the conclusion is not new, which is surprising and encouraging, is that a national commission composed exclusively of moderate, which would reach such a conclusion unanimously and would express its findings so effectively. So again, this report was done in 1967 by mostly a group of white people, and our condition has not changed. It's actually gotten worse post 1965, post integration with the dominant society. That's a report that was commissioned again by the President of the United States, Lyndon B. Johnson, at the time. And so they said it was white racism. It's still a problem till this day, family. It's even worse. So for those of you who are still in denial, I mean, those are the facts. If you're still having those three characteristics, deny, deflect, and being dismissive, then that's a result of cognitive dissonance. And that's still, if you're black, that's a result of post-traumatic slavery disorder, which again, that's a mental issue that you're going to need professional help with. But for those of you who have logic, common sense, those are facts I just read you, and that's the problem that we're still facing today. White racism, which needs to be eradicated and replaced with the system of justice. And again, the compensatory definition for the system of justice is guaranteeing that no person is mistreated, and number two, guaranteeing the person who needs help the most gets the most constructive help. All right, family, so that's what I wanted to talk about. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Again, I am Chauncey, aka Ukarema, and I talk about counter racism, and I talk about suggestions on how to replace the system of racism, white supremacy, with the system of justice. All right, family, make sure you subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I got a lot of more content coming, weekly content. I'm very consistent with this information, family. Make sure you tell a friend to check out this channel. Leave a comment down below on what you think about this particular topic. Leave some suggestions about what you would like to see done about the situation, or how can we further prevent the black parents who take their child out to a public setting, right? How can we ensure that we are protected? Leave your comments down below, family. All right, family. Chauncey, aka Ukarema, great man of God media, signing out. Peace.